Hello, everybody. Welcome back to SUBTA Studios Live. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Chris George, your co-founder and chairman of SUBTA. And today we are joined by Julie Ball, who is the founder of Sparkle Hustle Grow, who also runs a subscription boot camp. Julie Ball is a huge asset to the subscription community. She's a huge supporter of SUBTA and has done so much to help people grow and build their business. Julie, thank you so much for being on.
Hello, I am pumped to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Let's dive in. I can't wait to talk shop with you.
Hey, Julie, hold on one second. Hey, Bradley, this speaker is kind of going wacky. Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh.
This is sounding all right.
Always.
Check. I can't hear you that well. Technical difficulties. Oh, let's try now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep. All right, we're good.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we're good. Good. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, expected unexpected with tech always, right?
Yeah, of course. Like, what timing? But Julie, again, thank you so much for being on. Today, for everybody watching, Julie is going to tell us a ton of her great tips going into 2022. We're going to talk about the boot camp that she's hosting at Sub Summit next week, which is next Tuesday, which I'm super excited about. I'm super excited to get back in person and see everybody there. And I know that you're going to be running that boot camp. That's what, from 9 to 12 on Tuesday, 9 to noon on Tuesday. And there's going to be some snacks, and you're gonna help people build a year of boxes in just one day, right?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It sounds so dreamy, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's super valuable to be able to plan out and get ahead on that. So before we get into that, let's start talking about what you're seeing in terms of what you've seen over the past year that some of these subscription boxes could really learn.
Yes. So you're talking about like things that we've learned the hard way, right? And things that our listeners and our watchers can learn from us. Well, I think so. There's two things when you mentioned this question. The first thing that comes to my mind is Facebook ads. Facebook ads have got me down. Ever since the iOS 14 changes in, March or April, we've seen significant changes in how Facebook ads are performing, how they're reporting, and just what's working. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned through this is not to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to marketing channels for acquisition. We had in the past successfully relied on Facebook ads to replace our churn every single month. And our model is a little different. Like, we have a cap on how many subscribers we want because we want to keep it a small enough, intimate community for our sparklers so that they feel like they're a part of something. But many of the people listening, they might want to scale. They might want to continue to grow and grow and grow. So we had used Facebook ads to replace that churn. And it was on autopilot. It was easy. It was working. And then come March and April, they changed things on us, changed the game. And so I think that was one of my biggest lessons that I learned the hard way, was not to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to acquisition. So, things that we've done to pivot from that is we started working on more of our organic channels, which, as you know, and you've probably talked about before, is more of long game. So that stuff's not going to convert immediately, but it's going to progress. It's going to be like the compound effect, where the more blogging you do, the more Pinterest you do, the more all these organic methods, it will impact it in a positive way down the road. So we're working on those. I'm making it a priority to pitch 5 new podcasts a week. So give yourself goals to pitch podcasts or to, become a part of communities that serve that same non-competing audience. So I'd say that was my biggest thing that I learned over the past, probably 6 to 9 months. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was just to plan further in advance because of all the shipping delays, shortages in supplies, that type of thing.
Yeah. So I think what's interesting is you hit the nail on the head, right? You have to diversify that top of the funnel traffic. Mm-hmm. I think on one end, it's not that Facebook isn't working anymore. It's just that it's not tracking it anymore. Facebook's still getting, So it's still getting you the views. It's getting people to the website. It's just harder to track because of this post-pixel world. So I think that one thing for people that I've noticed is you have to start making pivots in how you're sort of tracking that conversion, right? You can start to ask a question. You can start to ask a question post purchase. That's how did you hear about us? They might click Facebook, right? Facebook's not tracking it. Also, just look at like marketing as a whole. I think, but like you said, like diversifying the traffic, putting out more content, like that all does pay a long game of dividends.
Yeah.
It's just that Facebook's making it harder to optimize ads. It's making it harder to know which ones are working better. Look at the clicks through the site is my advice for those that are listening. Like, look at how many clicks you're getting to the site. Look at your conversion rate. It's going to give you an idea of how well Facebook might be working. And what's interesting is both of those are also challenges, right? Like that's probably the biggest challenges everybody's dealing with right now is like this marketing, this pixel issue, delays with product. So how far advanced are you planning now, given some of the delays that could be happening?
Yeah, well, we plan our year in advance, knowing that there's going to be a little bit of movement. You have to be flexible if a product is delayed or, you know, if a new opportunity that you weren't expecting comes up. You want to be flexible. So I'll throw that out there. We typically purchase about 90 days out as far as like putting in a PO and confirming quantities available. But I mean, this past month, I have 2 shipments of notepads and notebooks for Sparkle Hustle Grow that have been sitting at the LA port for at least 30 days now. I have friends that have said their pallets are stuck on trains that haven't been able to move for 60 days. Yeah. And so you just have to have that line of communication really open with your vendors and ask them, say, you know, what's your standard turnaround time and what's your expected turnaround time now with your delays? And then put a buffer in there. Like I even add another like 7 to 10 days buffer just to make sure.
Right. And how are you communicating with the customers if there is going to be a delay? Are you letting them know like, hey, we're sorry?
Oh yeah, for sure. So we actually this past month in Sparkle Hustle Grow, we do a printed workbook. It's 5.5 by 8.5. It's got all the materials for that month, got the training, the box packing list, all that good stuff. Well, our printer couldn't get it turned around in time, even though we had ordered it in plenty of time. And so what we ended up doing is we had to pivot. We included an insert with QR codes to all of the same content, but in a digital format. And then I did a special video message to our subscribers, letting them know what the problem was and how we are handling it, but then how we're going to try and avoid it in the future by ordering even further out. And honestly, my team and I just did kind of a debrief on it yesterday, and we have not had one complaint about the missing workbook because we were so proactive in communicating and saying, hey guys, you know, there's shortages worldwide and it's finally impacted our own operations, and here's how it plays out. So we in our Facebook group, we are sending that via email. We put a special insert in the box that had all the same information. My rule of thumb is to communicate it in at least 3 different places, multiple times though.
Yeah, and I think that you can't be the last thing you want is not to say anything, and then it comes late, and then people are upset, right?
Yeah. And if it's going to be late, like if you're shipping your boxes late, I think consumers are starting to be okay with that. Like even my Amazon Prime stuff is not arriving in 2 days. But I think if you just give them a heads up and let them know, they're going to be okay with it. And the few that might not be okay with that, you can do some one-on-one customer service with them to kind of mitigate the fallout.
Yeah, that's great. So this year you're going to be doing at Sub Summit, doing the first ever boot camp, which is amazing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it is from 9 to noon, the first day of the Sub Summit. So you won't miss any of the summit, but it's actually a separate event. It's called the Year in a Day Workshop. And it's essentially that to plan your entire 2022. And what we'll be doing.
Just unplug it, let the computer do it. I'm sorry. Julie.
That's okay. You can still hear me?
There was just another speaker issue. Just let it run.
Okay. Sorry, I just bring along these speaker issues. Gosh.
Sorry, guys.
We good?
We're going to switch this.
Let me know when I should continue.
No. Hey, Julie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, no, we're having some more issues here.
It's okay.
There we go. How about now? Julie, you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Okay, yeah. We had a technical issue with the speaker, but now we're using the computer speakers, so it should have no problem. So let's go back to that.
Yeah.
Tell me again. Year in a day boxes. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so the Year in a Day workshop is a planning system that we use at Sparkle Hustle Grow so that we can plan our entire year in advance so that we don't have to be always running, through the cycle of reaching out to a vendor, placing a PO, and then, chasing that product down and shipment and tracking and all that stuff. It becomes exhausting. And so there's definitely a better way. It's one of those things where you plan it ahead, you communicate with your vendors, and you're going to have so much extra space in your workday to do the things that are actually grow your business, to focus on your subscribers and pour into them and to do the marketing stuff. And so we have a 3-step framework, and that's what we'll be going over in the Year in a Day workshop. So the first step is your big picture planning. So we're going to do a series of exercises that's going to reflect on, your past 12 months or however long you've been in business. Maybe it's only 3 months. That's okay. And then we'll go through some kind of dreaming, some manifesting, it's not woo, don't worry. It's all about what are the dream brands that you want to include in your box? What are some of those products? And then the second step is the product research. And so we're going to be providing tons of templates, swipe files, and hacks to make that product research really easy. And then the third part of the framework is your actual year in the day planning day. And so we'll help you set up for success for when you choose that planning day. For us, we do that planning day in September or October of every year. So this is perfect timing for our attendees to get what they need to be able to move quickly and get their entire 2022 planned out. It's going to be so fun. We're allocating the first 30 minutes for networking, and it's a small group. It's not open, it's open for registration, but you have to pre-register and upgrade your ticket to be a part of it. Yeah. And so that networking is, they're going to have access to my subscription box bootcamp team. And so we'll have me, we'll have Renee Gonzalez, who's our director of customer experience, and she does all of our marketing. And then Amy Lochran, who is our operations head. And so during that networking, we're going to have breakfast, coffee, tea, mimosas. You'll be able to pick our brains. How often do people say, oh, I just want to pick your brain? Well, that's the first 30 minutes of the workshop is dedicated to that, to networking, to picking our brains. Then we'll dive in and do the work.
That's amazing. I'll have to stop in at 9 during the networking and say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts when you're building out the 12 months of boxes? And I'm sure you're going to talk them through this, but do you allow for some variable? Let's say you want to switch something, things can change, right? So, so you allow for some variable, which is great. And then we're going to put a link in the bio. Are there any spots available, though, for anybody else that wants to come to that? Okay, good. So we'll put a link up in the comments in case anybody wants to sign up for that last minute. If you're already attending Sub Summit, it's a separate cost, but you can definitely still sign up. And that's super exciting. And Julie, so you've been now at Sub Summit, I think since 2017. You've been there every year, right?
Yes.
I remember seeing you at Austin.
Yeah. Before we move on, I wanted to say too, though, the Year in a Day workshop, this is our first time presenting it, so it won't be part of the virtual summit that you guys are running. But in October, we are going to release it into the wild as an actual virtual workshop. So if you guys miss it, or if you're not going to be there live, there is an opportunity to snag it in October. So don't worry about that.
Oh, good. Appreciate that a ton.
Yeah.
So Julie, you've been coming, I know, since 2017. I think you had gifted some of your boxes to some of our speakers or something in that. I remember it was something like that. So tell me what your favorite part is of Sub Summit and attending and being there.
Yeah, it's been so fun. This is an event that I earmark for me and my team every single year. This is one of our non-negotiables. One of my favorite things is the networking. So I'm a self-proclaimed ambivert, which means I'm super extroverted and then until I'm not. And then I need to take a step back and recharge. So this is the perfect type of environment for that, because I can network and I can meet all these people and vendors. And if I need to take a break, then I'm like right at the hotel. I can pop back to my room, have a moment of peace and quiet, or just go into scope out the vendors, kind of walk through, eye up the ones that I want to talk to later. It's just such a good environment to meet people in person and get introduced to the people you need to know in this industry. And the fact is, so many of us start our subscription boxes as solopreneurs, and it feels really lonely when you do that. So then when you discover a group like this that is made for you, that is people that are going through the same things as you, and then leaders like yourself that queue up all of the right things, like the training that you need, the vendors that you need, and the event that you need, it's just such a no-brainer.
I appreciate the kind words, Julie. And one, I want to thank you for your support. You're a huge asset to the community. You're a huge asset to SUBTA. I can tell you that I can't wait for next week. We're flying in Saturday. Excited to see everybody start coming in on Monday.
Yep.
I know you're coming in Monday, right? And then you'll be set up Tuesday. And I think what you're doing with the boot camp is amazing. I think that there's so much that could be learned. And that's a great way to start their like 3-day venture, right? Is like learn a ton. And then I know that you do this, you help build subscription boxes, like not just what you're doing at the event, but you have an offering you do, right? Which is the boot camp. So everybody should check that out. Julie's done an amazing job building subscription businesses, have helped tons of different solopreneurs build subscription businesses. Julie, I want to thank you again for all your support to SUBTA. For everybody watching, I hope all of you will be there next week. If you can't get there in person, there are virtual tickets available. Julie, I will see you next Monday. Thank you, everybody.
Next week.
Have a good day.